Hey everyone, welcome back to the Triune Podcast. Thank you for tuning in. My guest for this episode is Jessica Wuchterl. Jessica Wuchterl is actually my neighbor. She owns a horse farm where she boards horses, and her husband own several other businesses. They are successful entrepreneurs, but now Jessica Wuchterl has decided to take a step into the field of becoming a life coach. Jessica is the first life coach I've ever met. I actually haven't had a clear definition of what it means to be a life coach, but I had her on the podcast to talk about what inspired her to take up this journey. She wants to, for one, coach herself along with coaching others, but two, she just simply wants to create an opportunity for people to go on a journey that she wishes that she would have been able to go on in her younger years. And along with that, we have just dove onto the, subject of life coaching, making life changes, whether it's gradual and subtle or drastic and dramatic. But either way, it was a very interesting conversation. I learned a lot from it, and I think the field of life coaching has a lot to offer, and I think Jessica Wuchterl also has a lot to offer as well. If you want to find Jessica Wuchterl, she is on Instagram at Grace Hill Coaching. The profile is Life Coach for Change, and her primary individual that she wishes to consult is women that are her age or younger women that are basically taking the similar steps in life that she did. And she wants to go on a journey with them to make sure that they are asking themselves the right questions and challenging themselves in the right ways. So, without further ado, let's get to the episode. But before that, be sure to follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and other social media platforms. Be sure to subscribe to our podcast on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and other platforms. Be sure to subscribe on YouTube and follow us from there, and just keep up with what we're doing, because obviously this podcast is my passion, and I hope that obviously the conversations that we have on here bless you and are refreshing. So thank you all for listening thus far and giving your support. If you want to support any more, you can go to my donation page at patreon.com/George Shadburn, or you can actually click on the link in my bio and go to the website page for the podcast and donate to the podcast on a regular basis as well. Thank you so much. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening. This is Jessica Wuchterl, and this is the Triune Podcast. Hey everyone, welcome back to the podcast. I am here with Jessica Wuchterl. Thank you for coming on the show.
Absolutely.
Jessica is my neighbor, actually, and you board horses, and your husband is an entrepreneur, does various amounts of things, but recently you have decided to become a life coach. Mm-hmm. And, with that being said, you're the first life coach that I've ever met in my life. Cool. So I think it's really cool that even now, like, you've decided to, make a change into diving into a passion, and that passion is becoming a life coach. So I would just love to be able to get the story of why and what it is exactly that you're going to be doing as a life coach. So thank you again for coming on the show.
Absolutely.
But if you could just tell the audience a little bit about yourself, and then, we'll peel apart what it means to be a life coach.
Okay. Well, I guess it all started with my high school or grade school into high school into college athletics. Mm-hmm. I played competitive sports all through that time, ended up in a full scholarship to college playing volleyball. So I always had coaches during that time period when it had to do with volleyball.
Yeah.
So coaching was something that I was used to. I knew all that sort of stuff. And Kyle and I met in college, and he was a college athlete as well. And we just, both our parents were entrepreneurs. They had their own businesses that they ran our whole lives. And we knew, both of us, getting out of college, that's what we wanted to do. We both started in corporate America, but quickly were actually... the month we graduated, we started in a network marketing business and grew that for, I guess we were actively growing it for 7 or 8 years.
Yeah.
And grew it to a substantial level to the point that it replaced my income.
Nice.
So when we started having kids, I had the choice to not have to work a 9-to-5 job. So at that point, that gave us some flexibility, some extra money, different things like that. And our next goal was to get Kyle out of corporate America. So we dabbled in multiple different businesses and ended up starting a service business in the floor cleaning industry with Kyle's parents. I guess it was 10 years ago, actually, that we started it. And in the meantime, before that, when I was home with my kids, which was probably about 7 years before we started the cleaning business, I was a bookkeeper. I kept books for a multitude of businesses, and I did that on top of staying home with the kids. I created income myself for many years. So we started the cleaning business. I supported Kyle on that 100%. He was working nights while he was selling during the day for his full-time income, and we did that, and he was very successful in sales. He was one of those salesperson that could sell ice to an Eskimo.
Personally, knowing Kyle, I know exactly what you're talking about.
And he bounced around a little bit to different kind of organizations and really never felt that he was in the right place, but knew he had the skill of selling.
Yeah.
So he excelled. He was always the top salesman wherever he was.
Yeah.
And that really bought us time to figure out what we were going to do. And the cleaning business took off quickly. And within 2.5 years, Kyle left corporate America, and we were full-time in the service industry. And I supported that, worked as much as I could on top of, I had bookkeeping clients at the time too. Yeah. He had done another sales job that he left, but I took over at home on a part-time basis. So we have juggled multitude of things.
Yeah.
From the very beginning. It's kind of, I guess, and I'll get to this probably later in the podcast, what logically made sense to us.
Yeah.
But it wasn't necessarily what my heart wanted to do, but it made sense on paper.
Okay.
So that's kind of what led me to the decisions I've made recently.
Yeah.
Is we were very good at making very good logical decisions that made sense for most people. Would be like, well, why wouldn't you do that?
Right.
So we grew that business. Like I said, we're in year 10 currently, and we've grown it substantially year after year. And we bought his parents out of the business about 4 years ago, and his sister and my brother-in-law have come into the business too, and are big parts and big players in the business too. And it's been a good business. Not to say it's been easy for sure, but it's been something good for us, and has logically made sense for us, and it is also provided a lifestyle that we were after at the time, something that we thought was success
Right.
or what made sense for us and our family.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. It provided security and stability and, freedom in that sense.
Yep.
Okay.
And it also, I dabbled with a couple other businesses in the interim. I have been, my role at the service industry after my son went into kindergarten when he was 5 years old, which was about 8 years ago. I committed to Extreme and I started working, not ever on a full-time basis, but definitely more so, much more deeply involved in the day-to-day operations. And I've been acting as the visionary for the business. I also keep the books, do the HR, and manage kind of a little bit of a high-level operations there too.
Yeah.
So I kind of have worn multitude of hats, whatever is needed to be done and whatever no one else wanted to do.
Yeah.
I've kind of filled in the gap over the years.
Yeah.
So, and also played with some real estate stuff and got into some residential rental property, and kind of really was searching for something that I wasn't able to find, but kept creating these pods of businesses that I thought would make me happy.
Yeah. So it was like somewhat internally, you kept trying to look for that niche that was really going to pull that passion out of you.
Yep.
So it seems like now you've had almost like a revelation of what that is.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. 2020 kind of was, it was an interesting year, and I'm sure it's been that way for most people listening to this.
Biggest roller coaster ever for me.
Yeah.
I got married and announced that, I was having a baby and stuff, and also the pandemic.
Right. Yeah. So it kind of all came to a head for me, honestly.
Okay.
My kids were home. They needed me. The service industry was taking a pretty good hit with us, so the business needed me. Our rental property, a lot of the renters were struggling. They needed me.
Yeah.
The farm, it's a constant work, as you know.
Right.
Just kind of keeping up with that and making sure everything's smooth and looking nice and all the animals are happy.
Yeah.
That's where I wanted to be, was, around the animals, which I got a lot of, to be honest with you. 2020 was a good thing for me because I was able to stay home.
Yeah.
And enjoy my kids. I mean, just them being around, but they needed me. And I just felt just a tug from a million different directions.
Yep.
And I couldn't ever do anything right in any of those areas, because I finally felt like I was just stretched too thin.
Yeah.
And kind of almost, hit a breaking point of, what am I doing?
Right. Yeah.
What is this for? Who am I helping? Who am I benefiting? What is this all about? Because we had reached a high level of success on paper, but inside me and emotionally, it wasn't. I wasn't happy. I was running ragged. I was never finishing my to-do list. I was disappointed with myself every day. My kids were struggling and needed more support, and I couldn't give that to them. So in all these areas, I was, in my mind at the time, felt like I was just a failure, and that's kind of where it kind of started, the search of what am I doing?
Right.
Why am I doing this? I just started asking a lot of questions.
And then probably it sounds like from a lot of those questions you were asking yourself, you were probably having that revelation too, that a lot of other people were doing that as well. Just because we all got tripped up this year. Like there's something about, what happened this year, not just with how we had to operate around a pandemic, but it was as if we had such a big momentum going in a lot of areas that we tripped over like just a small bump, and it all collapsed on top of us. We were juggling all these things and sprinting, and we just didn't slow down. We just crashed.
Absolutely.
Wow. So then you start asking yourself these questions, and I'm guessing it led to this revelation. How did this come about?
I actually decided to take about a 6-week hiatus out of everything. I walked out of the office. I said, I'll see y'all in 6 weeks.
Wow. Did you go anywhere? Did you travel? Or
nope. I just
went home?
stayed home. Okay. And honestly, that time of year, July, August time frame at the farm is a perfect opportunity for me to stay home and
for real.
And just enjoy my kids and spend more time with them and get ahead on some projects we had planned for the summer, and honestly just have some quiet time and be able to just pay attention to my mind and pay attention to the universe and pay attention to God and just slow myself down enough because I never slowed down. It was always I had these balls that I was juggling every single day, and I never had a minute to just stop and think about question myself, first of all, on emotions or feelings or thoughts that I had, or just wonder, what do I want? Or what am I doing here? What is the purpose of all this, at the end of the day? And I dived into podcast, I read books, I did everything that I always wanted to do but just never took the time to do for myself. And I hired a coach at the same time frame, and she really questioned me on some hard questions that I had never really asked myself, and kind of encouraged me to stop. Even if it's 10 minutes a day, 5 minutes a day, just take some time for yourself. Put you first. Quit being the fixer, the doer for everyone else, because at the end of the day, you're wiped out and there's nothing. You don't even pay attention to what's going on around you. So she really opened my eyes. And to be honest with you, when I hired a coach, I had no intention of being a life coach. I just knew I was on a journey and a path that I needed to unlock me and figure out what is going on inside of me, what things that I need to change, because most of the days I felt like I was a Groundhog Day.
Oh yeah.
It was just this cycle that I just continued to, and I'd hit the same wall. And then I'd get mad at Kyle for the same thing that I got mad at him 2 weeks ago, and it was just the same circle that never ended. So I just kind of stopped and started paying attention to that things. I started to become more aware of what was going on around me. So
basically, like, this life coach, she challenged you like with questions that, like you just said, you've never asked yourself before. Did it feel like when you had the opportunity to dive into those questions that you kind of just started to understand a whole other facet of life that you had never really addressed before?
Yep. I mean, we went back to talking about my childhood even, and talking about why I would react a certain way in a situation, or situations that would happen in my marriage, we would discuss and really kind of talk through on why I thought those things, or what feelings, like, I would tell her thoughts that I would have, because I'm kind of an introvert and I really like to think and process, and that's always been a big interest and something that's important to me. But I never really dug a little bit deeper as to what is the feeling behind that thought, and why do I feel that way, and where does it come from? They weren't difficult questions, really. It was just stopping and thinking, well, where did that come from, and why did you feel that way? And
Yeah.
Just kind of challenging me more than anything to go a little bit deeper.
Right. Yeah.
And
did you find a sense of liberation like after these sessions with this life coach?
Absolutely.
So
Every
you feel
week.
like there's kind of like a point A and a point B from before and after, and do you feel at this point B that
I think the point B is when I'm in heaven.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, I think I'm on a journey that is endless.
Okay.
Honestly, I don't think there is a destination. And to be honest with you, I thought that there was a destination, that Kyle and I were chugging. Just put your head down, work really hard, and we're going to get there one day. 10 years, 20 years. Hey, let's retire early. Let's work really, really hard, and then maybe at 50 we can take the let's just keep your head down,
we can
just
get a
work.
boat and sail across the
Exactly.
Right.
And that really is not it. And that's one of the biggest revelations that I've had, is that I want to enjoy the journey of this path I'm on every single day, no matter where I'm at, no matter what level I'm at. It doesn't really matter. It's the enjoying the everyday, whether it's a good day, bad day, or indifferent. I want to have that freedom, feel the freedom, and have the peace and joy through the journey, not necessarily trying to get to a certain destination.
And now you want to give that to other people.
Absolutely.
So is this you taking this step also to become a life coach for other people? For those of you that are listening, my wife just walked in.
Hi.
Hey there, wifey. But hey.
I just wanted to see, is there an extra microphone or no?
You can come sit here in a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah. Wifey's gonna get all, situated, and then she might join us in the podcast. But so now that you want to do this for other people, is it a certain demographic of people that you want to do it for, or just anybody?
Well, honestly, I'm after women like me.
Okay.
I saw a pattern. My mom and I are similar in our paths. And I'm sure I've kind of taken her example and run with it. My dad's a veterinarian.
Yeah.
And my mom always ran his business and was super involved. She was the driver. She was the one that did all the things. My dad was an excellent vet, an excellent vet, still practices. But my mom was the business lady.
Yeah.
She was the one that ran the show.
Yeah.
And she took on the burden. She took on all the, the back end of his business. She was a firecracker.
Yeah.
I mean, you got in her way, she bulldozed you over.
Yeah. So she was an extrovert then.
Very much so.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm personality wise a lot like my dad.
Yeah.
But I feel like I have the more of the drive and the grit that my mom kind of carried.
I call it the modality. Because it's I recognize that in my parents as well. I'll share like some personality traits, but then there'll be like tendencies that I'll have. Okay,
Yeah.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah. So she was, just a fighter. Throughout my life, all my friends just loved my mom. She was the life of the party.
Yeah.
She was the coolest mom on the block. And she poured herself into that business and into us kids. And she went down a path later in life, after I left for college, and really suffered with depression, anxiety towards the end, a lot of anxiety.
Yeah.
And I think she probably had a lot of anxiety before. Just kind of went into a tailspin when all of our kids, all of us, I have 2 other siblings left. I'm the oldest of 3.
Oh, wow.
I have a younger sister that's 4 years younger than me, and my brother's 6 years younger than me.
Okay.
And when we all left the home, they actually sold their business within a year or 2 that we all left. And my mom completely lost, identity, purpose,
Wow.
everything within a short period of time. And the anxiety and depression every year after year, got worse. She
Because she was plagued with that question of like, what did she do all this for?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah. And ended up getting, I would consider her probably an alcoholic towards the end. And 4 years ago committed suicide. So I really strongly believe that if she had a coach, she had a support system, a guide, someone in her life at any point during that time, I really think things would have been a lot different for her. So.
Hey, baby. If you do want to join in on the conversation, there's an extra microphone in the other room. If you want to. Okay, cool. That's fine.
Did you tell her my questions?
So just text them to me and I'll read them out. Okay, cool.
I have so many questions for you.
Cool. Well, so back into the conversation, everything. It sounds almost as if like you're also wanting to provide this opportunity for other women to even realize that there is a journey to be had, and it like now that like you're explaining it is like hitting me in a way that it just sounds so tragic that people will just pour themselves into something that they don't understand what they're pouring themselves into or why they're pouring themselves into that. And you want to offer the opportunity to let them ask those questions and give those answers so that, maybe they are on the right path, maybe. But then if they're not, then they get to, take an inventory of themselves and, recalibrate and assess and be like, is this healthy for me or for my kids or for my family, right?
Yep.
That is something that I've actually felt very personally for myself. Even like starting this podcast and everything, I started this after I went on a mission trip to Sicily, and I came back and I was like, I don't know why I'm doing any of the things that I'm doing right now. And I need to find an outlet. I need to find some sort of avenue that is going to at least allow me to just kind of open up about what I'm feeling in this journey that I'm on. And luckily this has been able to kind of, give me that for a bit.
Right.
But so now you want to become a life coach and provide this opportunity and allow other women like yourself to step on this journey. What's going to be, I guess, your approach to all of this? Because, I say that pretty broadly, but at the same time, I myself, I can't give the definition of a life coach. So who are you, I guess, as a life coach, and what's your approach to all of this?
Honestly, because I'm really a baby life coach, I guess, if you want to call it.
You're still kind of a life coach in training a little bit?
So I'm life coaching myself.
Okay.
And I feel like over the last 6 to 9 months, I have created massive change in my own life. And there's skills that I have built over the years. I feel like there's 3 areas that I'm an expert in. Marriage has drastically changed. I would consider Kyle and I to have a fairly stable marriage. It's always been good. He's always been someone I can count on and just my rock. But I have myself reached new levels in our marriage. Finance is another area that I feel very strong in as far as handling debt, preparing for things, starting new businesses without creating a lot of debt, and delayed gratification when it comes to financial aspects, and then career. And what kind of ties all those 3 together is just personal growth and mindset. So I take mindset and personal growth and dive into those 3 areas. Kind of is where I'm comfortable, where I like to be. So honestly, what the future holds for me, I would love to start in the one-on-one field, because that's what I know, and that's what I've encountered. I've done a little bit of group stuff, but I'm taking it day by day, week by week, honestly. And I'm waiting, listening, and paying attention to what God or the universe or what happens around me, and I'm running with what that is week by week. So I don't know if I know what the future looks like, other than I know I'm trying to find the women and impact as many as I can over a period of time. So I have hopes to maybe incorporate the farm some way, and the animals, because they're so much of a they just fill me up so much every day that maybe there's some kind of experience that we might do at the farm down the road. But
me and Laura have talked about this several times, and she actually wants to start like a ranch ministry. Just because, and literally just simply from knowing Laura, I've only discovered this entire field of just what working with horses is. And there's a lot of like spiritual connection that kind of happens in that area and stuff. And like I myself have even thought about, the oldest sort of, I guess I don't want to call it a trade or a job, but like kind of the oldest way of life that has ever been is farming, agriculture. And I've always I've thought to myself, what would it be like to create some sort of farm or place where people can kind of go all the way back to just the roots of life and have some sort of time to again ask the questions that challenge them, but then to connect with creation and to find out what their original design is. I think that's really nifty. Some questions that I do want to ask that Laura's texted me. Laura wants to know, what are some examples of deep change that you have endured through life coaching?
I would say, honestly, the biggest change for me is just figuring out why I'm here and what I'm doing, and how much my story relates to so many women, and how just subtle, simple shifts that you do every day, or maybe it's a shift or two a week over a period of time, is just so impactful. And even though my life in general in the last year hasn't changed from the outside, I still work in the service business. We still manage rental property. We're still shuffling kids every which way. My life has changed dramatically from the inside, and that is all in my mind and my perspective and my lenses that I look at things through. And they weren't like radical changes that happened overnight. They were just little shifts. And honestly, my goal every week, because I meet with my coach every week on a call, and it's just to have a little bit, even a half a degree shift from the week before. So if I can do that, I know in a year or two just how things are just going to be completely different for me.
Wow.
So
it's literally just baby steps. Okay, cool. Another question that she has is, you mentioned on social media how your life coaching helped you see your marriage in a different light. What ways has it changed your parenting?
It has caused me to slow down and pay attention, honestly, because we've discussed that I was just racing for that destination, and you know what, you guys are going to benefit from this one day. Hang on. Yeah. Hang on, because mama's working, okay? And, but at the back side of my mind, I'm like, what am I missing? What am I, they're going to be gone soon, fighting this, work hard, but they're going to be gone. Get to work, but they're home and I want to be there. So it was this battle. So it was just, for them, I always wanted to be the example. They don't necessarily need to listen to me, but go ahead and just watch me.
Yeah.
But now I want to be there. And even if it's, just 10 minutes one-on-one with each of them every day. Like I said, just little shifts every day. It doesn't have to be that I'm there when they get off the bus and that I'm, have dinner ready for them every night, or, have this Susie Homemaker stay-at-home mom thing going on. Because I used to be home with them all the time. But it's the checking in with them for 5 minutes, laying with them before they go to bed, asking them questions, just connecting with them, even if it's for a few minutes every single day. And before I was letting that slip away. So
Laura also has, and I'll make this kind of a two-part question here, but would you say life coaching is sort of like discipleship, and also has it done anything in particular for your faith?
It has opened my mind a little bit more. I grew up in a Catholic system and felt that everything was kind of shoved on me. I didn't understand half of it. There was all these traditions that, you just kind of went through the motions every single day. And, I would get in trouble at church in grade school because the girls would start laughing, and that uncontrollable laugh that you can't stop, and it kind of became just kind of a thing that we needed to do and keep up for my grandmother, and that evolved and changed after college, and I got to know that it really wasn't about kneeling at a certain song or all the tradition that was out there. And I've read a couple books that they don't necessarily talk about God, but they talk about the universe and say you can interject any word you want in to use for the universe in these books. But I mean, it's very clear that it's God. So I feel like it's opened my mind a little bit more and kind of broken some of those limiting beliefs that I had when it came to spirit and God and my path, and really just becoming true to me and just being that every day and not worrying about what people think and just going on to what and honestly just slowing down, whether it's meditation or prayer or whatever it looks like for you or anyone that I work with. It's just paying attention, because God is going to talk to you, is going to guide you, and is going to encourage you, where I think before I was waiting for this like aha moment that never happened because I was too busy. So I wasn't ever going to listen to it or pay attention, because I was just trying to get to the point where I could go to bed at night and start over and do it all over again. So just being aware has been a huge shift in that.
Nice.
So.
Well, that's really cool. I think, again, like what you're doing is really interesting, and like taking a step into that journey, and at the same time, like deciding I'm also going to help people take a step into this exact same journey that I'm on is kind of, that's kind of a 1 in a million person right there. I think that's really interesting what you're doing. Thanks. So for diving into, future plans and everything like that, if people want to reach out to you and, they want to talk to you about, sitting down with you and having some of these questions and stuff, how can people get in touch with you and, get some time with you?
I'm on Instagram, and honestly I don't even know my Instagram handle. Grace Hill. I just kind of shifted it a little bit this week, but
so building social media in the meantime and everything.
Instagram, Grace Hill Coaching. And then I'm on Facebook too, under Grace Hill Coaching too.
Cool. So, are you going to be kind of doing any sort of particular Is it going to be, you said earlier you want people to come out to the farm and stuff like that. Are you going to be kind of doing some one-on-one, face-to-face, like on a couch
maybe
type setting?
I know. I think if I do farm things, it'll probably be kind of a group, and it'll be more hands-on. I don't even know really the details of it. My one-to-one will be strictly Zoom on as far as right now, and may stay that way, honestly, because I hope Kyle and I have lots of plans to travel and do a lot of things, and I want to be able to serve,
because you're still answering those questions too.
I want to be able to serve my community or my clients no matter where I'm at. So I anticipated it staying pretty technologically connected in that way, and then I support my clients by text through the week as well. So
that's cool.
and they get homework after our sessions and things that they work on until the next week, and that sort of thing too. Cool. So
well, Jessica, I think you want to say something, babe? All right, I'm gonna switch chairs with the wife.
I was gonna sit on your lap or just. Okay, so going back to when he asked you about the first question, the transformation question, and how you were like, mainly it's been on the outside, or it's not been on the outside, so not much has changed. But I'm not super close with you, but I'm relatively close because you're friends with Drew's mom, and we see each other a lot. Yeah. And then sometimes I come to your farm and like play with your horses and stuff. But I would say when this journey started in your life, I immediately noticed, like, your heart has blossomed, and like I can tell there's so much more openness and like love coming from your life. And so I just, like, maybe not everyone notices that. I'm weird, and I'm very like, I pay attention to stuff like that, and I've received blessing from your transformation, and I'm not even being like coached by you. So
good.
Just like whatever is happening in your mind and in your heart and in your at the farm, like, it's reaching people you don't realize, and like I see it. So I know that maybe the main like pillars of your life haven't changed, but so much is changing in your heart and in your mind, and I'm like benefiting the blessing of that. Just, you don't realize like how much has happened in my life because of what's happening in yours, and I'm so blessed by it. Like Pirelli, that was such a huge blessing, and I'm just like on the computer all the time, like watching the videos. For the listeners, Pirelli is a horsemanship training method, but also your social media I share with so many people. I'm like, read this. And like, I was just talking with my friend Taryn, who just got married like around the same time Drew and I did, and the one where you said like, you must accept that it's not your responsibility to change others, and you're talking about marriage, I sent that to her, and she was like, I literally needed that. And I was like, so did I. So your Instagram page is awesome, and I encourage listeners to follow it, because so much is happening just through your life. It's not just your social media and like all the stuff you're doing. It's like so much is coming from like your heartbeat, if that makes sense. So yeah, it's very encouraging.
I really, really appreciate. You don't understand how much that means to me, because especially now as I'm in the beginning stages of growing this, there's not a ton of followers or a lot of people out there giving me feedback. So, and that's okay. And that's my journey that I'm going on and, working through. But, my coach and I talk about evidence all the time about, she's like, there's stalkers out there. They never say anything. They never like anything, but they're there and they hear it. So, I am trying to come from a place of honestly just speaking from my heart and listening to what's on my mind that day and sharing that. Yeah. My biggest desire is to be genuine and to just speak to women that aren't either. I mean, I'm still in that boat. I still try to change my husband. like it's a fight every day. But I tell you, I've had more good days than bad days.
Yeah.
Especially recently, so it's coming.
Yeah.
It's just these little shifts. Okay, I'm not going to say that this time.
Yeah.
Yes. And understand that I'm taking responsibility for myself in every area of my life.
Yeah.
So, that just means so much to me.
Yeah, I know. And I feel like Drew might kind of be in the same boat, because with his podcast, like, it takes a long time for a following to build up, and like, he's still not where he wants to be, but like, he just kind of does it from his passion and his heart, and he just loves doing it. And there are like stalker listeners that pop up that are like, oh, I love this, and you're like, whoa, I didn't even know you listened to it, so
that's cool.
But yeah, like, just what you said on Instagram about like not changing your husband, like, and I know you mentioned before, you talked about your mom, right? You would think, because I have a similar situation, you would think we should know that lesson by now. Like, you can't change someone, and it's not your responsibility to change someone. Like, we've had it the roughest in most cases, but we still are like, well, your job is to make me happy, so you need to, like, be better. But, like, I literally just walked in the door and I saw his dinner plate, and I was like, not going to say that. Not going to say it. But seriously, because you said that, I feel like the past 2 days I've had so much more peace, because I'm just like, I just need to focus on serving him and making him happy, and not vice versa. And what I want him to do. So it's changing
and serving
homes.
Yourself, right?
Yes.
And making sure you're full.
Yeah.
Because if you can't give out to anyone else if you're not full.
Yeah.
So
that's very true.
And and I don't know, it was a post, I don't know if it was yesterday or not, but one of the most impactful things my coach said is, it's not your job to handle it all. It's not your job to fix it all. It's, let everyone else, that's not your job. So back out, let anyone else come in and do their job.
Yeah.
Whether it's at home, it's not my job to do the dishes. I don't like dishes in the sink. So when I want to do them and clean them up, I will do that. But if I don't want to do it, I'm not going to do it.
Yeah.
And someone else might want to do it that time, and they'll do it if they want to do it.
Yeah.
And I'm going to do it when I want to do it, because I want a clean kitchen.
So do I. What is it, like clean kitchen, clean home, or what is it?
Yeah. I don't remember.
It's like, the kitchen is the heart of the home. Like, if the kitchen's clean, the rest of the house is clean. But I don't know. So yeah. I feel like I was going to say one more thing, and I always do this every podcast. I'm always the one that does this.
That's all right.
I'm always like, I don't remember. But, yeah, babe, you want to wrap it up?
Sure.
Cool. Maybe I forgot.
Thanks, Laura.
For a reason.
Well, cool. Well, one more time for your Instagram handle. What is it? It's
Grace Hill Coaching.
Grace Hill Coaching.
Yep.
Cool. Well, obviously, I think we all just had a really fruitful conversation.
Awesome.
So,
thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for being on the
appreciate
podcast. Guys, thank you for listening. Obviously, if you want to reach out to Jessica, you know where to find her. And thank you again for being on the show. And guys, I hope you all enjoyed this. I know that I learned something, and I'm blessed with this conversation. I hope you guys are. So we will see y'all later.
Yay!